Hi guys, so house prices are soaring like the summer heat right now, right? Am I wrong? Am I right? What do you think? Now, last year was a crazy year for the property market, and there was fear of a property bubble and a house market crash. However, it all proved quite resilient, and since then it's continued to strengthen. Now, personally, I know a lot of people right now trying to get onto the property market, and also being a property investor, I'm deeply interested in how the property market evolves over the next 6 to 12 months. I did do a video on some of the fundamental drivers and why property won't actually crash. It was divisive and some of you hurt my feelings with the dislikes, but by the by, I can deal with it. In that video, I dissected Ranjan Bhattacharya and some of the fundamentals that will keep property prices high. Back then, stamp duty and government policy were important stabilizers for the UK housing market. Now, of course, that has all been very important, though the housing market is dictated by supply and demand, and peripheral policies do have an impact. I won't go into all of that jazz here, but you can check my video out from back in March up here. The headlines right now, the UK property market, is that the number of homes for sale are at their lowest point since 2013. What does that actually mean for buyers? And the frustration that demand far exceeds supplies, and so properties move hands and are now off the market like hotcakes. My mother-in-law sold her house in a couple of weeks, but is now actually struggling to find a home to move into, which helps illustrate my point a little bit further. So the imbalance between demands and the supply of homes is at its worst since 2013, guys. Part of that is led by frustrated buyers scrambling to meet the stamp duty deadline, and at the end of the month pushing up prices. On the other side, estate agents are reporting that supply is dropping dramatically and has been for a few months, as sellers are reluctant to come to market as they can't really see the options for other homes to buy. What a kerfuffle. The end result is properties being snapped up in days and selling for over the asking price, which then feeds into fundamental problems with buyers with less capital, such as first-time buyers who are struggling to get a foothold onto the property ladder. And it's not just me saying that, by the way. The Royal Institute of Surveyors, which is the professional body for property surveyors who value properties for all kinds of purposes, but predominantly for those going through a sale, and that the gap between new buy inquiries and new sales instructions is at its widest in 8 years. Now, this goes on a little bit more further with Seymour Rubinson. I don't know, it has an odd spelling. His view is that drying up of housing stock will likely have a knock-on impact on first-time buyers who are already constrained and being steered away from entry-level flats. But what about the other analysis? Well, the Bank of England, who we know that they know, is known for its sensational approach to headlines. They've not branded the housing market as on fire. I mean, Andy Haldane in the article goes on to say how this has a knock-on impact on wealth inequality in the UK, and rising house prices exasperates an inequality, and that does all actually make sense. Now, agents are saying that those registering to buy homes has been surging, and this is despite the stamp duty holiday due to end in a matter of days. So any buyers coming to the market now won't really actually benefit from the full tax break. And at the same time, the RIC status shows that housing supply has been on a decline for a while and remains teetering at lowest levels. While the headlines are pointing to supply shortages, this isn't a new phenomenon, guys. Housing supply in the UK has always been a struggle. Rishi Sunak, just hear me out. Now, my mother-in-law, who is now in the bias and hasn't bought a house in, say, 25 years, is entering this market, and this market is way harder to buy property in. We're talking about the concept of best and final offers, something which she actually despises, and rightfully so. Sealed bids of best and final offers are collected in confidence, and then the highest bidder wins. Even her own property sold that way. However, with supply and demand in property being as stretched as they are, these buying techniques add to house price inflation, as it pushes all buyers to the brink of their affordability if they find something they really like. All the pressure is on the acquisition, as there are really limited options elsewhere, especially when you've been looking for 6 to 12 months. So from my research, some estate agents are saying all their property stock is under offer or sold, and most estate agents are saying house prices are selling for asking price, if not more, and seldom is there a renegotiation by the buyer in the course of the sale. The pressure cooker continues to build. But guess what? All that is supported in the average house price data, which gives us a pulse on how the market is actually performing, and it's been on a sharp rise in the last year, guys. Now, this is the final point, but one that has been an irritant for me, as it's not just property prices that are soaring. Property purchases are lengthy lengthy and complex and stressful transaction, and also all the associated costs have all gone up. Conveyancing costs have gone up, solicitors are scarce because they're super busy and now are more expensive, building costs are more expensive, and that is because the supporting infrastructure hasn't actually caught up with the market. So if you are a budding solicitor or conveyancer, now would be a good time to join the market, and also give me a call, guys. Though for now, the housing market continues to defy all, with many who expected a fall as the economy reopens proved wrong. And let me tell you, between April and May alone this year, 3k was added to the value of the average home, according to Halifax. I guess the only thing that's left to say is good luck to my mother-in-law. Now, I've got a few videos on this topic, but here are a bunch which I think are the most interesting right now. First, obviously, is the housing market for the last year, and looking at the market more fully, as well as my own experience with managing my own properties in and around London. I also invest in the broader market, and so thinking quite a bit about the stock market and crashes, as well as the impact of inflation. So these few videos here are a great way to get up to speed on my mind right now. So I'll see you over there, shall I?